welcome everyone. I'm glad to see so many national wage registers have joined this event, which we especially host for you. This pilot project, as we call it, was proposed by the European Parliament back in 2019. And already at that time, before von der Leyen came with her proposal on the minimum wage directive. So the genesis of the project is already much older, but in the context of this proposed minimum wage directive, of course, it has gained much more interest and even relevance, you know, for the future ahead, where the directive also aims to promote collective bargaining in the member states, collective bargaining coverage, but then in particular also the low-paid segment. So it's against this context that the European Commission in this project have asked us, Eurofound, to come up with an approach, with a concept for a database on collectively agreed minimum wage rates, which are related to low-paid workers. And this sounds, you know, relatively easy, but as my head of unit, Barbara, often used to say in this context, if it had been that easy, someone would have done such a database already. And we know there is very little out there across Europe, few attempts to come up with a more comparative overview of collective bargaining agreements. The WageIndicator Foundation and CELSI are certainly the leading institutions that have tried and tested how to compare collective bargaining agreements across countries. And this is why I'm also very happy that we were able to get them on board for this project. Jana and her team have helped us a lot with developing this initial concept back in 2020, 2021. And we have tested the concept. We have, with the support of a tripartite and academic expert committee, tried to slim down the concept again, adapt the conceptual framework to the practicalities that we found on the ground in these 8 countries. And now it's really a pleasure for me to see that how can we, you know, take this attempt further and really extend this database to covering all the 27 EU member states, and see, can we really, you know, get this flying. So with this, I hand back to my colleague Jakob, I think is next in line, right? And he will show you a little bit the first results that we got out of this pilot exercise in 8 countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Let me just share my screen and the correct one. Okay. Okay, just a second. Can you see it, everyone?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Okay, so maybe I will start. I want to present to you with 2 or 3 things and the results that we already have. And I would start with the database and the coding environment that we have developed internally in Eurofound that enabled us to extract the data and analyze it and visualize it. But currently, we have had feedback from our correspondents and coders and the registers on how we did it. We have learned some things, and we are currently developing or addressing some changes to the database. I first want to mention and ensure all of you that this exercise consists of us asking the data from you, the registers, but then the coding is done by Eurofound's network of correspondents, which are the country experts for each country with the national language, and they are doing the coding, and Eurofound is ensuring, along with WageIndicator, the quality control. So let me start with the database. I won't go into too much detail since we have already changed some things, but in general, here you can see a collective agreement, or it can be a series of renewals of collective agreements. Here I'm in Austria in the textile industry, blue collar workers. and our aim is to create a time series from 2015 until 2021. When I open the agreement, this is the metadata that we have been asking you to deliver, and the coder. So first of all, depending on the country and the register, we receive some of the metadata directly from the register, and others are contextual and are coded by our coders. So we have this collective agreement level where we ask for the national title, the English title, the ID that is held by the register, the start date, end date, etc. We code several attributes. Very importantly, one of them is the estimated coverage of the agreement. And we ask actually before and after extension, it's a range that we ask. And also we ask about the quality of data. We refer to the bargaining level, private or public type of agreement, normal working hours, etc. So there is a vast amount of information that is referred to the collective agreement. We code and we have coded all the sectors that are referenced in the agreement. We have done occupations that I can skip. We ask how the pay scales are differentiated. And if possible, we add the source or more sources of the agreement. So here, for instance, in Austria, we have the renewals from 2015 until 2020 of the agreement. And just quickly, moving on to our core of this exercise, this is how we code the pay rates that are found in the agreement. So our concept foresaw that we have been coding a minimum, median, and maximum. And here we can see the minimum that is related to the entire agreement. So it should be the lowest rate found in the agreement. And here we basically have the time series. And interestingly, it's defined in per hour payment. And then in 2018, it turned to a per month payment, but we have all the calculations done automatically to calculate a comparable measure. Maybe just to show you a background of our development of the database, I wanted to show you some up-to-date improvements we have done with our colleagues. And one of them was, in this pay rate, for instance, we have had technical problems because some of the pay rates didn't have an end date. So we would be getting empty fields. It would be basically causing us trouble in the data. One thing as an improvement, which we have done, is it's an idea of our colleague who came up with the idea of a fixed reference period. So we would be asking for the payment, but always related to the first of the month. And for instance, in 2021, I would select there is a pay rate, which is defined in the collective agreement. I could say it's 1,600 per month, and I would pre-fill the entire series. So currently, this is where we are heading, and a new database is about to be developed. And now, coming back to the results of the first mini pilot, we are using this visualization / extraction tool, which is called Power BI from Microsoft. It's directly connected to the database through an API. So we have the live data. And here, what you can see is the 8 countries that were part of the mini pilot that we have just done. All together, what we are showing here is the number of time series that we have extracted. And by this, we mean we have to differentiate between the minimums, which have been coded, medians, and the maximums. I won't go into the detail, but we were testing 2 approaches, a jobs and a sector approach, but that is irrelevant at the moment. So we have been able to code 350 minimum, median, and maximum time series for the 8 countries. Maybe more interestingly, sorry, I'll put it into full screen. More interestingly, this is the core of our exercise. So the data that I showed you in the database, this is how we are able to extract it and visualize it. So for instance, this is Austria, and it is the manufacturing sector. So these are all the agreements that we have coded with our correspondents for manufacturing. And the time series goes from 2015 until 2021. And what is interesting, first of all, that already just the first look, we see the convergence of all the rates towards 1,500 euros, which was agreed by all the social partners in all the sectors as the minimum. So we see it here in practice. The database as well enables us to select one specific pay rate or one specific time series, sorry, and click in between them. And we are able to show the names either in English or national language at the same time. And then of course, the interactive part, for instance, I can go into the construction sector. We have had 6 sectors which were of interest for this exercise. For the extension, we have 11 NACE sector. We have more sectors, simply put. We have wholesale, we have transport, then we have accommodation and food services, or health, human health. And this is just Austria, but I could simply show, I don't know, Germany manufacturing sector, and we would see the levels of the pay rates. So this is really just to illustrate the main goal of this database and of this exercise. It's to monitor the lowest pay rates in the selected low-paid sectors. Going on to the next slide, this is this one shows the actual pay rates across countries and across sectors. Even though we have the time series that goes from 2015 until 21, here we are showing just the year 2020 until 21. And we have been coding the lowest minimum and also the maximum pay rate found in the collective agreement. So for instance, we can see that Austria, the minimum is 1,500 in all sectors, more or less. But the maximum in manufacturing that we have recorded is 5,200, in construction 6,200, etc. So we see the ranges of pay rates which we have coded. Yeah, this is just some of the things which the database allows us to do. Going on to the next one. This one is still loading. Perfect. Sorry, it's going slow. Okay. One just a small interesting thing. Here I have Slovakia, and we had seen some strange numbers, and actually found out that the lowest rates found in the collective agreements are oftentimes falling behind the statutory minimum wage. So we have a data set with minimum wages, and we are also able to use it as a proxy and compare these two rates. So here the analysis really makes sense by specific agreements. But again, the red line is the lowest rate in the agreement. This is the bus transport. And the blue line is the statutory minimum wage, which is, of course, applicable in such cases. Here we see there is also some lag, or it's lagging beyond, say, half a year between the statutory and the lowest pay rate. So this is the type of information we are able to extract, for instance. And then, of course, our aim is to create indicators of poverty, etc., and low pay. And just the last slide that I wanted to share with you. Sorry, this one. Okay. We have been asking the correspondents to code the how the pay scales in collective agreements are differentiated. We have defined some differentiators such as age groups. So we would say if the pay scales in the agreement are different for groups aged 18, then 20, above 20, etc., they would select it as a differentiator, and this gives us an idea of actually what type of pay rates are found in the collective agreements. This graph shows it by country, and we can actually see that job type is quite prevalent in all of the countries. In Spain, it was in more than half of the agreements. But for instance, there was a differentiator called skill level. So there would be different skill levels defined in the pay rate. So low skilled, highly skilled, etc. We see this is very prevalent in Italy, also Germany, Denmark, etc. Tenure, for instance, so Austria, Slovakia, Denmark, Germany would have this as one of the ways how pay scales are defined. And this is maybe where I'll stop, just to provide you with an idea of how we are collecting the data and what type of information we are getting out of this exercise. And yeah, if there are any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thanks, Jacob.